What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Arrows. We're recording a video. Actually, I wanted to record this video like immediately after the weekend, but it didn't work out that way. So we're recording it. We're uploading it now. So the reason I didn't do my first set championships because up until like literally like a couple days before, I thought I was going to a second one. So we're gonna do like a double set champ video. But I didn't end up going to the second one. We ended up playing in our locals. This fun little inexpensive Emerald Amber discard deck. We took third in that locals, which we went 2-1. Really fun ripping cards from our stop there. Really have anything on the field as well. But the weekend before this past weekend, we did enter into our set championships at P Market Games. We came third overall. Might have actually won the thing, but I got a really bad stomach. I got like really bad stomach pains. I was like really kind of not sick, but like really queasy all weekend, and ended up having to leave after round 4. So I ended up having to give my fourth round opponent the win. But overall in the standings, we finished third. So we're gonna go into the decks. We won this sweet little Enchanted, really nice. I actually really like the art on this card. It's not the greatest card. It might actually get better in the next set. But we'll talk about that maybe in another video about what I think is going to be really good this set. What archetypes. We might work on something for you guys next week. Excited. But let's get into the deck profile, and then I will tell you about my rounds. So, not much has changed from like the previous videos. I did cut down on some things and add in some things. We're of course keeping our staples. The 4 of the 1-drop Chernobog's followers. We love Chernobog. We quest with it. We get a lore. We get to banish and draw a card. 3 copies of Diablo Raven. I'm not as big on this card as I am the other 1-drops in this deck. I do find that it does take a little bit to get it off the field to really get my card draw going. I did notice in a bunch of my games that people were just kind of like leaving it there and taking out my other bigger threats, so I wasn't getting card draw and I wasn't keeping it board. 3 copies of Magic Luminary Keeper. Best broom. Don't care what anybody says. This is another strong opening play. We quest with it. Then on our next, then we play another character. We banish it. We draw a card. And 2 copies of Captain Hook, Forceful Duelist. I think my earlier builds had 3. I did cut it down to 2. I think it's still good. It still comes out in clutch and helps out. If I don't draw into any other of my good ones after the mulligan, this and Smee is a really fun little combo that keeps Smee from taking damage. So I enjoyed it. Going into my 2-drops, we are playing 3 copies of Snake. When you play this character, you bounce it. You bounce another character. It's really good at getting some stuff off the field if I want to reuse abilities, or if Smee doesn't die on my opponent's turn, I can quest with it, and then without it taking another damage, I can play the 2-drop Mim, bounce it back to my hand, and depending on where we are in the game, how much ink I have, I can play it again. Speaking of my boy, 3 copies of Smee, a Bumbling Mate. 3/3 for 2, quest for 2. At the end of my turn, if I do not have a captain in play, he takes 1 damage. We actually have accidentally 3 captains in this deck, so he wasn't always taking damage, which was fun. And rounding out our 2s, we have 2 copies of Bell Heron. 2-drop, 2/2, quest for 1. If my opponent has an exerted character when I play her, I gain 2 lore. And 2 copies of Calhoun, Marine Sergeant. You guys know what Calhoun does. 3/2, uninkable for a 2, resist 1. Whenever we banish a character in a challenge, we gain 2 lore. Getting into the 3-drops for characters, we have our 3 copies of Fox. I only actually own 3 copies, so that's why I'm only running 3. But honestly, I found 3 was fine. Comes down, bounces the character back to my hand. The same thing as Snake, but it also rushes down a target, which is really good. 2 copies of... Hold on. Sorry, 3 copies of White Rose. When you play it, we gain a lore. This deck has a lot of, if you've probably noticed it from the previous videos and what we've done, this deck has a lot of lore gain cards where they just like drop a ton of lore for nothing, for just playing them. 3 copies of Pete. I don't actually find he's not as impactful in my area because there's only like 1 Steel Song player. So I find he's not as impactful in my area as he is in other areas. Obviously, I'm still going to keep him in because, you know, when you build a deck, you want to build it for the overarching meta, not just what's being played in your area. And honestly, if I don't use him, he's easy ink. So, and 2 copies of Crab. I know a lot of people run 3 copies of Crab. I enjoyed it at 2. I think it did really good at 2. I saw it when I needed it. It wasn't ever in my hand when I wanted something else. So definitely a solid card choice. Getting into our 4s, we're of course running 4. Oh, and one more. Oh, I forgot about 3. I forgot 1 3. I forgot this is a 3. And 3 copies of Cobra. I just really like this card. It's a 4/4. Play it, you pitch it, you pitch something, you gain 2 lore. Really good card. For some reason in my head, I thought it was a 4. Crazy. Getting into my 4s, we're of course running 4 copies of Goat. We love Goat. He is the Goat. When you play him, you gain a lore. When he leaves the field, you gain a lore. Really good bounce target with Fox. Even just questing into stuff and having him get KO'd is really awesome. In one of my matches, he was at Bell's Tower, and I got Be Prepared. So he left. I got a card in the lore, which was fantastic. 2 copies of Genie and 1 copy of Rabbit. I don't have a 3rd copy of Genie, or else I'd probably be running 3 copies of Genie. I do like Rabbit to be able to like bounce it back up, but Genie is just the better card choice. After playing with them both over the past couple weeks, Genie is definitely the better card choice here. 4 cost, 2/4. Quest for 2 has evasive, draw a card, whereas Rabbit is a 2/3, doesn't have evasive. And when we leave the field, we get a card draw too. But in the end, there's so much evasive going on in this meta right now. There's the Giant Iago, there's Genie. There's Genie, there's a anyway, there's a lot of evasives going around. So really good card, the Genie. I love having it, especially comboing up. We can combo up on the next turn with Merlin. We can do some stuff. So the Crab Merlin. So lots of good stuff. And rounding out our 4s, we have 1 copy of Gantu. I like this card. My friend. So my thoughts with this card is I do have a lot of item-based decks here. We do have somebody playing Ruby Sapphire with items, and we do have somebody playing Steel Songs. And my friend Andrew plays a itemized version of Challenge deck with like plate armor and Shield of Virtue and training metals. So my thought here with this as a tech was that it's going to cost them more to do their stuff. We are running like a bit of actions in here in songs, but honestly, it's not at a point where it's going to hurt me because I can always just sing the late game. So I really liked him. He came in clutch. He didn't really come in clutch in the set championships, but he has definitely come in clutch in past tournaments. So, and then I only running 2 copies of Elsa, the 5th Spirit, as my 5-drop. I'm honestly kind of thinking about the Bell Aspiring Mystics in here, because I did find out at our set championships that that card can just remove damage without putting it on somebody else, which is kind of cool. And of course, rounding out our characters, we have 1 copy of the Duck Magician, Donald Duck, Flustered Sorcerer, the Duck Magician. This guy actually came in clutch in my 2nd round match and my game 1 of my 4th round match. The only match of the tournament I lost, I went 3-1. This card came in handy. It bought me the additional turn I needed to quest with what I needed for the game. We love the Duck. I'm always like in arguments with myself about whether or not I want to keep him in the deck or take him out. And then when I feel like I'm ready to take him out, that's the point where he comes in clutch and wins me the game. So, and even when I don't play him, he's usually one of the key cards I discard off of Cobra. So it is what it is. Going into our actions and our actions, items, and locations. We aren't running any items. We're running 3 copies of Friends on the Other Side. Honestly, I don't know where I'd fit a 4th copy in here. I have another tech card. We could probably take that out for something. Love this card. Draw 2 cards. It's another really solid turn 3 play or like a turn 4 play on top of a Genie to get a bunch of cards in our hand. I really like it. 2 copies of Strength of a Raging Fire. This card was hella expensive when I was looking around to pick up more copies of it for us here in Canadaland. It has gone down in price, so I might opt to get 2 more, but with the rotation coming, I don't really know how I feel about that as a whole, but we're working on it. 2 copies of Let the Storm Rage On. I like this card. This card clutched me out of a lot of, like, not bad situations, but unfavorable situations, as it did allow me to put 2 damage on something, which I could then take out with Fox, and it let me draw a card, and sometimes that card draw was really, really good. Hold on. Excuse me. 2 copies of And Then Along Came Zeus. I actually see people running like 3 of these. I actually really like this F4. I like having like my 2 damage cards, Let the Storm Rage On, and we're running 2 copies of Grab Your Sword. I really like only this having this at 2. I never hit a point where I didn't see it when I needed it, and I never ran into a point where I had too much of it in my hand with when I needed an inkable. So I like it at 2. Our 1 tech card is I Find Them All Platinum. This was in here for the items matchup, and inadvertently my friend Andrew, who I never played because he runs a ton of items, a really good card. Honestly, if I was going to take anything out for either a 3rd Great Fire, Zeus, or a 4th Friends, it'd be this. 2 copies of Grab Your Sword. I still think cards that deal damage to everything are really good to have in this format. I'm enjoying Grab Your Sword at 2. And then rounding out my non-characters, we are, of course, running 3 copies of the library. This card came in so clutch in so many of my games, especially in late games where I was dropping Chernobog's Followers, 2 quests, Banish and Draw. Drawing that extra card was fantastic. In one of my matches, it really came in handy as well. One of my second round match really came in handy as well. So we're gonna tell you guys about my tournament matchups. So let's do that. So I believe we had like 11 or 12 people at our set championships, which was really cool. It was honestly the most I've seen at our locals. Our locals are really starting to grow, and even just like this past Tuesday, and even like last week there was a set champs in Trenton that I wasn't able to get to. So a bunch of our players were there, and we still had like 6 people for locals, and like three of our players were gone this week at our Tuesday locals, and we still had like 6 people. So our local community is growing, and I'm very, very happy for it. But we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about our round. So in our first round, I played Mel and her Blurple deck. This was actually probably my closest set of games that I won. But inadvertently, her deck, in the first round, she had a really bad off start. And against this deck, with how fast we can get lore on the board, you don't want to give me any extra turns to really be doing stuff unanswered. And I got a couple extra turns in the early game, so I really kicked out to a lore lead. She came back with like Bell, Aspiring Mystic, to put some damage on my stuff and to heal damage off of her Bell, which I didn't know that card could do, which was really cool. I thought it had to be able to put damage on the other card. I found out there that it didn't. Super cool card. Really contemplating adding a couple into here, just to like mess around with. I think it's really good. Her Sven was hilarious. Hades obviously did stuff, but the biggest plus side that I had against the blue-purple deck is a lot of blues removal cards are cards that put stuff into my ink, which I was completely okay with because I was able to do more things, do stuff that I want to do earlier. So like Let It Go, put a card in my ink. I came back to my turn. I have an extra ink that I didn't have. We inked for the turn. I'm already like doing more stuff than I wanted to. That was really the story of our game, but really good games. Mel is an amazing player. She didn't see any of her Chernobyls and stuff in the early game of game 1. That really played off in my advantage in our game 1. Our game 2 was really back and forth. Lots of cool blue-purple stuff on her side, and we had a little bit of an issue getting going in the early game, but we were able to make good challenges, good plays with our Strength of a Raging Fires and our 1-drops to give us the game. Round 2, we played against Joey and his Ruby Sapphire items deck. I felt really bad. He didn't get really great hands in the opening, and he had to ink a lot of stuff that he probably didn't want to ink, and I kind of ran away with this game. We won 2-0. Deck is just really good. Like I said about game 1, if you give me a couple of turns where you can't answer what I have on the field, I'm going to speed away with the game. So this deck does. By the time we hit like turn 4, I was at 10 lore. I had at one point in the game, I had three cards at the library, and he had no choice but to be prepared. So we got 3 cards and we got a lore because Goat was there. We just kind of sped away with the game. Game 2, more or less the same thing. He didn't draw into really any outs in the early. He drew into outs to stuff in the early game, but he needed to ink those outs. He opened up both games with 2 Chichas. Obviously, he didn't want to quest with those right away because I would have KO'd them and halted his card draw, and he really needed that to draw cards. So pretty fast paced games. Took it 2-0. That one, like I said, when you let my deck go on a couple turns unanswered, it kind of snowballs, and then at that point I can just kind of like coast for that last couple of lore. We're able to gain like 17 lore without questing in this deck, so a really good start for us. Game 3 we played against Riley and his steel amethyst like aggro deck. I think it'd be aggro. It's not really discard. Really close games there too. This was one of those games I thought I was gonna lose because he has a lot of ways to damage my side of the field. He was using the mine, where when you put a character there for the first time, you deal 2 damage to something. Bagheera, he has Lyle to manipulate my lore by draining it down. But we have so much passive lore gain in this deck with the Honey Marons, the White Roses, the Cobras, the Goats, the library. We were just able to like really collect lore and play through his Lyles and really work around his like damaging cards. Like I took out Bagheera really quickly when I had like stuff on the field that if it got banished, I would get to draw cards, or I would have effects that would happen off. Or like I took cards off the field that I wanted to keep from taking damage from Bagheera, and I played my Foxes and I rushed into stuff like that. Or same with my Elsas. Stuff that I didn't really care if it stayed on the board. I used those to get around all of his damaging cards. And we took game 1. Game 2, he played a Gontu, but I was able to work around that. It's kind of funny being Gontu. Like I said, we don't really play a lot of actions that like I don't care if I pay the extra for. So we were able to manipulate around that, get the Gontu off the field. We played the Duck Magician and got the win. Game 4 was my only loss. I went 2-1 loss to Frank in his challenge deck. Game 1, I was able to. So this is how, in my opinion, my match goes against a challenge deck. In the early game, I think it's really good for me because a lot of the early stuff that I'll quest with is either going to take out his stuff in the process of being damaged, being KO'd, or it's stuff like Chernobog's Followers, Diablo Raven, and the Brooms, stuff that either goes away as soon as I quest with it, or I want to go away because I want to draw cards. So we were able to really play off that. I got my called. I got my library out and I was able to like lose cards there to draw cards, gain some passive lore. It took him a little bit to get my libraries off the field, and so I was able to take game 1. Game 2, I drew into absolutely nothing and I got wrecked, like straight up wrecked. I didn't see any of my lore gain cards. I didn't see really anything that was going to get stuff off his side of the field. It was bad. Game 3 was really close. Probably my favorite game of the entire tournament. We were trading back and forth, making some really good plays. I hit a spot where I was like looking to. Okay, no. So that the build of. Oh no. So the early builds of this, so the build for the set championships had a whole new world in it. Shoot, that's why. That's where I'm getting confused. Had a whole new world in it. I played a bunch of stuff and got some stuff on the field, and it was either I was going to sing into a whole new world, and I needed a Cobra. I needed a Cobra, a Fox, or a Honeyman, or a White Rose. I had the ink for everything to get the game. I drew into the not Honeyman, the White Rose. I drew into the White Rose and nothing else. So I played that. We got to 19, and then he took the game on the next turn. So I was really happy with that. But I was starting to feel like really sick. I wasn't feeling the greatest like all day, but it was really starting to come up with me, so I wasn't able to finish the tournament. But I'm really happy with how this deck performed. I don't know what I took out for. I took out for the whole new world. Oh well, it doesn't matter. But yeah, really good day. I was really happy. We got the hero. I finished third. I'm really happy with how this deck played out. I know we have a set rotation coming up, and I'm gonna lose like 43 cards out of this deck. But I'm really excited for what I can put in. We're getting um, a lot of new illusion stuff for coming into Reign of Jafar. We're gonna order some of the big Iagos. I'm really excited for what we're gonna do with this deck going forward. We're gonna be hopefully doing a lot more card game content on the channel. I'm kind of like, I don't know like what we're gonna do for streaming. I don't really know if I want to continue streaming full time or if I want to just do like weekend streams and focus more on like this content for YouTube. Still working on some stuff. It's been a bit of a hectic couple weeks for me personally. We're just kind of like taking this time off to like kind of reflect on what I want out of like everything. But yeah, I'm really enjoying Lorcana. I'm really excited. I actually want to get into like making more consistent Lorcana videos. We might actually do something for a deck that I'm really excited for post rotation, the Madrigals. So just keep it locked, stay tuned, and I will see you guys on the other side. Enjoy your card games. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on all my other socials. And as always, friends, enjoy your card games. Stay safe out there, and I will see you when I see you. Bye.